Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May.
Welcome back to the Lash Biz Babes podcast. My name is Erica and I'm your host, and I'm a lash artist of over 7 years turned beauty business coach and lash educator, and I help solo beauty business owners build to a full clientele and create the beauty business of their dreams. And I am freaking excited for today's episode because we have our first guest on the show. So we've got Morgan McGrath from Ida Jane Lashes on today. We talked a lot about clientele building, word of mouth marketing, outsourcing, mom life, and all of the things in between. She shares some really relatable stories and really good insight on her experiences throughout the past almost 10 years in the industry. So this is a good one. I hope you are ready for it. I want to give you a heads up that the audio gets a little bit quiet at spots, but it comes right back. It's a really great conversation, and I'm really excited for you to listen. And once you get done, or while you're listening, screenshot it, post on your Instagram story, and tag myself and Morgan. So I'm at Lashed by Erica S on Instagram, and she's at Ida Jane Lashes. So tag us, let us know you watched and what your biggest takeaway from the episode was. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Well, welcome to the show, to Lash Biz Babes. So first off, I would love for you to just introduce yourself and just tell us like how you got started in lashes.
Yeah, so my name is Morgan McGrath. I am the owner of Ida Jane Lashes. I have been doing lashes since 2013, and I never thought that it would actually become a business. I always thought that it would just be a hobby, right?
Yep, I was the same.
Yeah, so actually I was born and raised in Arizona, in Queen Creek, and I played club volleyball, so we traveled, and I had been seen by a bunch of different college coaches and was then recruited to play for the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And so I went to Alaska for college, and it was there that I met my husband. And when we were getting married, I'd come back during the summer to babysit for somebody that I normally babysat for, and she had been doing lashes, and she was like, "You should get lashes." And I was like, "Okay, I'm all about that. So let's try it." And I fell in love with having my own lashes done. That summer after we got married, I was like, I wonder if I could do this like in college as well. So like, mind you, back in 2013, like nothing was regulated. Lashes were so new. So I had gotten trained by a lady out of her dining room who did lashes out of her dining room. I think she still does lashes out of her dining room in Arizona. I paid like, I don't know, cheap for training, and then it was like a 4-hour training. I had one model, and that's all we did, that training. And then I left, and I was like, I do not feel confident. And so I like reached out to her again, and I was like, is there any way I could have like a second model come and have you like watch me? And she's like, sure, but it'd have to be like tomorrow. So I had like either my sister or my mom, I think it was my mom, come, and I like did her lashes, and then the trainer left halfway during it to go pick up her kids from school, and then came back. So it was just so interesting. But I told this story
Way
because
different.
like you can literally start from anywhere. however the training is going to be. And if you want to be successful and continue going in your lash journey, you can. It just takes practice and a lot more effort on your end versus if you pay for a well put together training right in the beginning, it will save you a lot of time.
Definitely. I
But
totally agree with that.
yeah, so then I went back to college, and mind you, I was traveling for volleyball every 2 weeks and doing college. And so I eventually switched all my classes to online classes so I could take more clients and running married life and things like that. So that is my little introduction of how I got started
Love
into
it.
the lash industry.
So were you lashing like in the beginning in Arizona or in Alaska then?
So I literally was, I lived in Alaska, but was visiting my family here in Arizona while I was getting married here, and for just a month. So I just had lashed somebody that I had known as my model, and then I had lashed my mom and my sister, and then I left for my rehearsal reception in Minnesota, which is also where my husband's from. And then we flew back to Alaska, and I just got started on all of my teammates
Oh, I
there.
love it.
And so,
That's awesome. So you mainly were like building your clientele in Alaska then. How was that? Because I feel like it's like a little different up there. My in-laws live up there, so we go
oh,
up
do
there every
they?
summer,
Fun.
and
What part?
it's like a different world with lashes up there, I feel like.
In some ways, yeah. What part do they live in?
They're in Anchorage.
Okay, so I
So,
was in Fairbanks, which is in the middle of Alaska, and I actually lived on college campus. And so in my studio apartment is where I had my lash set up.
love it.
Um, and at first, I feel like everybody kind of has a beginning story with lashes, whether they're doing it on their kitchen counter or on a
Yeah,
couch
I mean,
or
we've all been
wherever.
there.
Right, honestly, yeah, and I feel like there should not be any shame. It's all a part of the process, and like there should never be any shame with it. It's just about growing and where you decide you want to take it further, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, and what
and
works
so
best for you too, I feel like.
yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so, yeah, I had my girlfriends that I had told, my teammates that I had told, like, oh, I'm gonna go learn to do lashes and how fun that will be. And they were like totally supportive and game for
I
just
love
laying on my
it.
couch. Yeah, they laid on my couch so I could do their lashes. And then my husband was so supportive. He worked in the oil rig, so he'd be gone 2 weeks and then home 2 weeks. So that's why I thought it would be a hobby, because I was like, perfect, when he's gone, I'll just do lashes. And then when he's home, I
There
will
you
never do
go.
lashes. So unrealistic. But
So
um,
funny.
yeah, then he found me a massage table, and then I would just fold it up and put it off to the side when he'd be home, and then get it out. But yeah, so for growing my clientele and starting, it was solely word of mouth. I mean, Instagram, social
I
media
love
was
it.
just becoming a thing then. And
Right.
so I had started an Instagram page for it and started taking pictures. But I mean, honestly, when you're just starting to become a lash artist, you have no idea how to take pictures of people's eyeballs and lashes to aesthetically
Right.
look good, to attract clients
Well, and you're
or
like,
high paying clients at that, you
yeah,
know?
you're learning so many things at once. It's like a lot. So it's like one step at a time, and then you can build on it.
Completely. And you don't know what you don't know. And so at the time you may think that it looks great. And then later you're like looking back and you're like, oh, oh, how
100%.
embarrassing, you know? Um,
But we all
but
start
yeah,
somewhere. And
I was
I
just
love it too, though, because then you see the progression of not only your artistry, but like your photography skills and all of the rest of it too.
for sure. Yeah. So I had just started basically building my clientele from word of mouth, and I had no idea how fast it would blow up for me. And so that's why it's so interesting to hear maybe your thoughts on like how Anchorage progression is with lash extensions versus my experience that I've had in Fairbanks. So
I mean,
yeah,
I've personally never lashed up there. We just go visit, but one of
yeah.
my instructors from school, I think she lashes in, I want to say Juneau, because
Okay.
her family moved up there, and I've just noticed like the pricing structure is totally different up there than what you might see in like the lower 48, And then like I just feel like there's not a whole lot of lash artists up there, so
Correct.
it's one of those situations where it might be, I don't want to say necessarily easier to build your clientele, but it's more what's the word I'm looking for? Not elusive, but just like there's not as many people that do it, and it can kind of, you can build your reputation pretty easily because of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not as saturated up there, I would say compared to Arizona. And mind you, I'm in Queen Creek, Arizona, so it's close to like Mesa and Gilbert, which
Yeah.
I feel like everyone and their mom is doing lashes here in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
Utah's the
it's
same way.
yeah, it's just very saturated. In Alaska, it's not as saturated because it's harder to get trainings up there. It's harder to people to
Right.
get that hands-on experience and then to really truly progress.
Well, and even
Because it's definitely, I think that the mindset of people there are kind of either super progressive because they are constantly traveling out of Alaska to get some warmer weather every now and then. And so their mindset, they're more progressive and open to the idea of lash extensions, or they're very remote Alaskan that are like very naturalistic type people that wouldn't have
mhm.
anything to do with lash extensions. So you're dealing with really two different types of people there for gaining a clientele. And that's, comes into play when you need to know your ideal clientele and how to price and things that way as well.
Right, totally. I love it. So with word of mouth, do you feel like there was anything like specific that you did that helped you be able to like spread the word quicker, or any like advice or tips you would give on like using word of mouth as a clientele building method?
Yeah, I okay, so I was in the different mindset of when I first started. I thought it was going to be a hobby and I wanted to explore this avenue just as a learning growth phase for me. So I had the time, I had the resources that I didn't care if I didn't have money coming in necessarily because my schooling was paid for, my living was paid for because I had academic and athletic scholarships, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
was so blessed with that opportunity because I wanted the opportunity to have different ethnicities come into me so that I could understand how to do their lashes better because I knew that every ethnicity has different challenges with their eyelashes. Different women have different challenges with their eyelashes. And I just wanted to figure out those challenges and how to deal with them so that I could be successful in the long run. I was looking for the long run success versus immediate success and immediate money. And so for me, I wanted as many people as I could have come into my door so that I could face those challenges head on and truly grow from them. So my thought process of how I was to gain clientele was I really, really, really wanted referrals, and I was willing to give out free fills. So for instance, I had my volleyball team come to me basically, and I had done their lashes and I had gained a little bit of confidence and knew what I was doing a little bit more. Not that retention was bomb, but I knew how to place lashes. I felt confident more in my movements and things that way. And so during that time, I said, okay, anybody you refer to me, I will give you a free fill. And it was amazing that some of those girls literally had 6 people come into me. And
Oh
so
my
that would
goodness.
mean that changed my business dynamic completely. Gaining 6 new clients come in and them paying full price for everything. But then the one person who really helped my business grow, I was really rewarding her. And it also created such a loyalty between her and I because she knew that she was willing to bring people in, that I was doing her a favor, and that she was reaping rewards too. And I knew that my costs weren't like extreme, right? Because here I am doing it out of my dorm, that's my studio that's paid for, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have that over cost, and I just had product cost, and I was willing to put that into the cost of basically what these other new people were coming in for, So I knew in the
Right, kind
long
of
run
like,
that would really help my business.
yeah, like almost like rolling it back into your business to grow your clientele so you can make more in the long run. I
For
love that.
sure. And it totally flipped and like it made it grow so much. So that's then when I started having girls that worked at coffee shops. Coffee shops are huge in Alaska,
Yeah.
and everybody does little drive-up coffee shops. And so they were like main marketers for me. So I'd even start reaching out to certain ones that I knew would really help my business grow, and they like would bring so many new clients in for me, and I would reward them with free fills. But that was something that I was willing to do, and not everybody's willing to give free fills, but I felt like that was a lot more rewarding than just being like, okay, here's $10 off your next bill. Like, to me, that's just like a tip type of thing
Yeah.
that they wouldn't have to pay. That wasn't truly rewarding and creating that loyalty bond between her and I as deep as I thought that it could. The other thing that I did is, this is definitely old school, is I created business cards and flyers. So on college campus, we had like bus stops because they'd have to go between the cold from their dorms to different classes. And so we'd all be huddled in this little bus stop where the warmth would be. And so I put flyers of little pull tags where they could pull off my number and call me to get their lashes done. I felt like that helped my business. And I would leave business cards in the bathroom or in the locker rooms or things like that, so that
Love it.
people would easily pass those around as well.
Well, and that's like being strategic with where you're putting them too. That's awesome because you know who you wanted to bring in with those, college students and leaving them in the places that they would see them out. So I love how like intentional you were with that, whether that was actually intentional or not.
Right. I would say it probably wasn't. It was just the entrepreneur mindset of what my parents had did because they're entrepreneurs. And so I knew that like
Yeah.
this is just things that my dad would do with
Yeah,
his business.
totally.
And so I was like, okay, this is just what I'll do.
Love it. So like long-term speaking with retaining clientele, do you feel like there was anything you did to be able to, so as you like started getting them to come in, other than just offering like the free fills, was there anything else like special you did just to keep them coming back
Um,
continually?
Not in the beginning, and I think not in the beginning because I didn't know retention. I didn't have the best placement of my lash extensions and the best glue control because I wasn't knowledgeable in that, because there wasn't a ton of information in 2013 with our adhesive understanding that we have now, but then also because I didn't put a ton of investment up front with the training to gain all that knowledge and education that I truly,
Right.
if I were to go back, yeah, I would invest differently so that I would have success. Even if I thought it was a hobby, like why not know it the best way
Well,
versus
it's
knowing
like
it a different way?
if you're gonna go in and do it, like you might as well like give it your all and learn everything you can, right? Or at least that's the way I see things.
I would agree, especially even if it's a hobby. You know what I mean? Because even if it's a
Mm-hmm.
hobby, like why take the long way to figure it out and enjoy something versus just being able
Totally.
to enjoy it from the start? So sometimes I think that we get in the mindset of like, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this. So like, I don't want to put too much money out there because what if it doesn't return? And it's like, but what if you did? What if you did invest more of it? And then what
Yeah.
if you truly loved it? And now you're actually set up for success versus having to put even more money in it into a different route and dive in deeper with more money, and you're taking longer time and all the other downfalls of that.
Definitely. I love it. So now you're in Arizona doing lashes. So like when was your transition period of like moving, and did you have to restart your clientele?
Yeah, so we were finishing college in Alaska, and that's when I decided I actually really love lash extensions, and I've always loved doing hair. So I better set myself up for success, and because I feel like this will probably get regulated down the road. So I decided to go to cosmetology school. We moved to Minnesota, which is where my husband's from, and we lived with his family for a bit. I went to beauty school, and it was before I had moved to Minnesota that all of my clients were like, well, where the heck am I going to go? What
Oh
am I going to
no.
do for my lashes? And I was like, oh my gosh, I love my clientele so much. They had taught me so much. They had become great friends. We had such a loyalty and a bond, and they had stuck with me through raising my prices to push people away because I was getting so overbooked that I had to raise my prices to keep people at bay, and also to bring in the right people that I was willing to serve at that time too. So
Yeah.
I had just let a few of my clients know that, like, I'm not sure what all my clients are going to do, but I'm willing to train those that are, like, interested. So I actually had a few of my clients interested in learning lashes. So I taught them the best that I knew how at the time. And we did like a day and a half training, and they would come in and watch me do fills every now and then. And then they took some of my clientele. And some of them, it's so cool to see that though I taught them lashes then, they then went on to esthetician school and sought after even more training so that they could back their end up as well, because it was something they decided to thoroughly pursue, which is awesome to see.
Yes,
So
I love that, like sparking their love for lashes too.
yeah, and I don't think that there's a wrong way to do it, whether you learn lashes before you go to beauty school or after. Like, I mean, more knowledge is more knowledge. Why not? Um, and so yeah, that's when I went to Minnesota, and it was at beauty school that I realized nobody here knows lash extensions. Not even my teachers, my instructor, like nobody knew lash extensions there in Minnesota. And they kept asking me, like, how do you know this? How have you been doing this for so long already? And being good at it, I guess. And so it was then that I had approached the school manager, and it had asked her, like, well, what are the regulations on lash extensions? Like, I know there's regulations with cosmetology and things like that, but like, am I allowed to teach some of the instructors and students who are asking me, like, can I teach them lashes? And she was such a mentor. Looking back, I'm so grateful for her time and her effort in mentoring me as a student and somebody in the beauty industry, because she said, right now, there are currently no regulations on lash extensions in Minnesota, and you are more than capable to figure out how you'd like to put a program together, or if you want to teach, and you can pursue and figure that out. And so she gave me some more pointers on figuring out different things and considering different topics and things to teach upon. And so that's when I would be bored at beauty school, because I'd get all my requirements done way ahead of time, and then I'd be sitting there bored, and I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and write out my whole manual. And so that's when I'd look up YouTube videos and write my manual and go back on a lot of my experiences and stuff that way. So that's how I started getting into the education side, and I had to build my clientele in Minnesota. And then after 3 years to Arizona, and I built my clientele here in Arizona and had to start all over again. And that's when I realized that, like, I was doing a recipe for success on gaining clientele right from the get-go and getting fully booked. And I love all the things that you are constantly sharing on your Instagram and your platform,
Thank
because the
you.
things that you are sharing are gold, and it's would be so helpful for any lash artist who is struggling trying to get started. And the things that you are sharing are truth.
Oh, thank you. I love that. So, because you've definitely got good experience with moving around and restarting, it sounds like. Was there like, if you had to give like one main big tip for people who are like starting from scratch or moving and starting over, like what advice would you give them?
Um,
I'm like putting you on the
um,
spot with this question, sorry.
No, you're not. And I think the hard part for me is, like, just trying to narrow down to one. I have to say
Well, you
two.
can share a couple if you want.
Yeah. First, don't be afraid to invest in yourself and figure out the right coaching to help you get where you want, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you're wanting to get somewhere, find somebody who's already been there so that they can truly teach you and get there faster. And it will be worth the investment. And plus, you'll just learn so much. The second would be to truly care about your client and not look at it as a money aspect and look at it as desperate that you're needing this money right now. Look at the long-term goal, and that knowing it will pay off. If, like, for me, it was giving a free fill. For some lash artists, that's like, whoa, I'm not willing to give out that much free money or look that desperate. But for me, I knew that I could have that return investment and long term keep those clients because of that I was caring for those clients so much, that I was aware of all
Right.
the touch points in my business to set it up for success long term.
Love that. And I mean, obviously that was working well for you. So like why fix something that's not broken? You know what I mean? Like you figured out what worked best for you and then kept doing it. So that's awesome. I love that. And that is so cool. You were able to, you built a clientele like 3+ different times. That is so awesome. And it's exciting to see like how far you've come from there too. From, you know, learning lashes to getting into that education space to now where you're at with like because you do a little bit of like coaching and stuff too, correct?
Yeah, I do. And I'm diving onto the online coaching part of it as well and
I
starting like
love
an
it.
online course. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I think the coolest part is meeting so many women who are so amazing and strong. And we could be teaching the same things, but we have different styles to it and we can relate differently to people and create our loyalty in different ways. There's so much growth for success for everyone, and that we can all be a part of it and have it. We don't have to have a competition or comparison going on all the time, that we could truly support one another. So I love the things that you're doing, Erica. And I guess what would you say is one of the main factors and
Mm,
things in growing your business to getting to
good
where you are now?
question. So for me, really, I think one of the biggest and it's more of like a strategy piece, I guess, versus like a mindset piece. But like one of the biggest shifts for me was just like getting in front of the right people and, like growing my audience and like growing my following. So when I was still taking clients and building my clientele, really focusing in on like, growing my audience with local people who could actually book an appointment because so I've built my clientele twice. Once really slowly. It took me like a few handful of years. And then the second time I grew really quickly in like 6 months or so. And so, the first time I was mostly just like, I don't know if it was really marketing, but like trying to book clients, but it mostly the only people who were seeing it were like family and friends and like a couple random local people, right? But then
Yeah.
the second time, as I was like building my local following and having that, like that was like literally the piece that like changed everything for me, or one of the pieces. I mean, there were different things that went into it, but that was so huge to just be getting in front of the right people who could actually book an appointment so that you're reaching those um, people to begin with. So that was probably one of my number one things, and one of the reasons why it's something like I teach so heavily in everything I do now is, figuring out who that ideal client is and how to get in front of them. Because I mean, if you're selling or, like marketing to the same people over and over and over again, and you're not getting any appointments, it's like time to, shift, grow your audience, start selling
Yeah.
and marketing to new people. And that really changed a lot for me. So I think that's one of the biggest tips I could get is just really how can you get in front of your people? And whether that's in person or online too. I mostly grew my clientele online, and it sounds like you mostly grew your clientele with like word of mouth and in person. So like there's different ways to do it, but just figuring out how you want to do it and then getting in front of them.
Yeah, it's so true. And for a while, when I started diving into the Instagram platform, I realized like most of the people who are seeing my content are like either my immediate family and friends, and or like people overseas in like different countries. And I'm like, there's
Yes.
no way I'm getting referrals from this. That is not happening.
Yes.
And I really had to change my dynamics of how I was doing things and the strategy about that. So I
Like
love that you
flip it
talk
up.
so much on the word of strategy and planning, because it's so important to actually set up for a game plan in order to have success.
Definitely. Well, and to hit your goal too. So like you have your goal, but get yourself those actual like action steps to get there too.
Yeah.
I love it. So you are also, I feel like we have a lot of similarities because we're both moms, and I see your fishing, or your family goes like fishing and does outdoorsy things, and like, your husband has worked out of town. We have like all those things in common. So I just love that we've connected like that. So I would love for you to tell us more about like mom life and lash life and like how you balance them, and like tell us a little bit more about your experiences there.
I don't know that it's a balance. It's definitely like an ebb and flow because there
Okay,
are
I
days
love
where
that.
there's definitely days where it is hard, and it doesn't feel like it's balanced and it can be stressful at times. But then there's other days where I'm like, yes, I'm on top of everything. I'm loving life right now. Like this is golden, right? And
Yes, I
so,
can relate.
um, things to know more about me. I am a mom of three under three. My oldest just turned 4, and my youngest just turned 1. Actually, this
Super
week
woman.
he's turning 1, and yeah, and I am a nursing mom. So if I'm not nursing, I'm pumping during appointments,
I love
and
it. Been there.
my husband is gone 2 weeks at a time, so gone 2 weeks and then home 2 weeks. And so when he's gone, I am full-time mom. And when I have appointments and want to run my business, I have babysitters. You have to ask for help because you can't run the ship by yourself. Um, I am
Yes.
like the captain when he's gone, and running the whole ship, but I have to have those other hands that are there to help it and make sure that it runs smoothly. And so for me, that's asking for help. I have a house cleaner that comes because I can't be stressed by like, oh my gosh, my bathrooms are a disaster. My kitchen is a mess. Like I'm only barely staying on top of laundry. If I'm being real, right? These are real things that like overweigh us and burden us down where we think then we can't tackle all the things that we want to tackle, and then it pushes our dreams down farther, and it makes it really suffocating in some ways to actually want to have the will to succeed and the motivation to keep going. um, so
Yeah.
it was super helpful because we hired a house cleaner. I've hired somebody to help me manage my marketing and my game plan to help me stay on top of things so that I am being accountable and wanting to reach the goals that I've been dying to reach forever. And having a babysitter come and watch my kids so that I can take clients or work on the behind the scenes of my business, like selling my products on Amazon or getting my website keep going or, all the things. So
Yeah.
that's my real life.
I love it. And, outsourcing, I'm all about that.
Yeah, and I didn't used to always be because I thought like, well, I could do that and I could do that cheaper. And I could
Right.
do that, and why
But
why
it's like,
shouldn't I do that?
what's your time worth? What's your energy worth? Like
Literally.
that's adds into the
Yes.
equation too.
And that's what I've been focusing more on is like I was, I am also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I am the Young Women's president. And so we had done like a questionnaire with the girls, and on it, it was saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I instantly put mom. And I'm like, here I am, a mom right now. And I am wanting to reach so many goals with my business that I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not focusing on the part that I truly want to be. Dang it. Why am I doing this to myself? And it
Yeah.
was such a realization for me that I'm like, I need to outsource everything I can right now so that I can be the mom that I want to be. And then I can also be the businesswoman that I want to be because I'm having these hands help me to reach success for all of us.
Yes, I love that. Well, and so you can be a present mom and also be like running the show in your business instead of having to be like working inside of it and doing all of the different things. Like is so much more sustainable long term. So that's a really good lesson for all of us to learn.
Yeah,
um
to remember, it's so important to recognize your time.
Yeah, I totally feel that. My husband worked, so he doesn't work out of town very often anymore, but like right about the time like he was working out of town when COVID shutdowns happened, and he was working out of state too, and he would work out of town like 5 days a week. He'd leave Monday morning at like 3 a.m. and come home like Thursday night. So he'd be home on the weekends. And that was like about a year of our life. And that was really when I was like building my clientele and adding in another lash artist and expanding my studio and doing all these things and adding in more education pieces. And it was a lot to be like full-time mom during the week and like
Yeah.
full-time business owner and trying to do everything myself. And I like totally relate with that, just like outsourcing when I can, I hired like a business coach and I had my other girls come in and, picking up my pieces and helping me out. And it's definitely really helpful when you're in that position that you can get that extra help.
Yeah.
But women, super women, doing it all, running businesses, raising babies, managing houses, all of the things. I love that. I feel like you're a great example of that in the industry, and like just proving and showing to everyone that moms um, can reach their goals and raise babies and, do all the things and be happy.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, Erica. I think it's definitely helpful seeing other lash artists and business moms doing it too, because it's
yes.
like, okay, I take tidbits from each one, being like, oh, they outsource that. Oh, maybe that's something that I should do. Or,
Yeah.
oh, they're cherishing their dinner time and they're making meals together. And I'm like, oh, I love doing that with my kids, and I haven't been doing that lately. How can I fit that into my schedule differently? So it's
Right.
definitely encouraging and helpful seeing that on other people's stories or their reels or TikToks or things like that, and good reminders to be like, yes, we can do this, and it's motivating. So
Yeah.
I
Well, and just
appreciate what you shared too.
supporting each other too. Yeah. And just like, we're not in it alone, and having that community and like collaboration over, um, oh my gosh, what's the word? Having
Over
community
like
over,
comparison syndrome.
yeah, like over comparison or like competition. That's the word I'm looking for. Like it's a C
Yeah.
word. I know what it is. Um,
Well, and I think it's so true, because I think sometimes we start seeing these other successful moms that are running their businesses, and you're like, how are they doing it all? How can
right.
I not be like that? And it's not. That's why I had to share the beginning part, because it is an ebb and flow, and there's definitely days that are a struggle and challenging, and that does weigh us down, because it can be over consuming of everything. And when we do have the help and we do prioritize and have intentions for our day, then we're able
Definitely.
to set up for success a little bit differently. But then also being able to have the grace and time for ourselves to take care of ourselves. So,
Definitely. And I love that you said that grace part, because that's something I'm big on, like just giving yourself some grace, because it is an ebb and a flow, and some days you're going to feel on top of the world and everything's going
yeah.
great, and other days it's going to be like, what the heck am I doing? I'm
Right.
so overwhelmed. I don't know if I can keep going. And then, just letting yourself like feel those emotions and let that out, but then continuing to move forward and not let yourself stay in that space of like overwhelm and like fear, which is easier said than done, I feel like some days.
Yeah.
But just really getting those tools and like mindset tools and support so that you can keep moving forward towards your goals, whether that's business goals or like goals in your personal life. Because I know, like,
Yeah.
personally, I have big business goals, but I also have like big mom goals where I want to be like hitting my business goals and helping all these women and helping people grow their businesses, but I also want to be a super present mom. And so that's like at the forefront of my mind to,
I love that.
have
Me
both of those
too.
things. So
Let's have a
it's,
play date.
yes, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. Because I think our kids are similar in age too. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. My oldest just turned 4, so that would be super fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, last question for you. So, what is your biggest piece of advice for like lash moms who are working on like building their businesses right now and growing their clientele? Is there any advice you would give to like a mom growing their clientele? Because it's one thing when you're like single and doing your thing, or you don't have the responsibility of kids, but then you add that piece in there and it can be really overwhelming. And I know I've had a lot of students and clients and just people reaching out and asking like, I'm a mom, I want to build my business. What advice do you have for me? So I'm going to pose that same question to you. What advice would you share for our lash mamas?
Time management. I think
Yes.
it's so hard having our kids. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm going to put my kids down for bed and then I'm going to go do this client's lashes. And then the kid wakes up and has to go to the bathroom and does all the drinks and like all the things. And it can be so distracting from taking care of your client and growing your business because you're not actually taking care of your client. You're also trying to take care of your kids. And so if you can time manage it well to where you literally invest in a babysitter to take care of your kids if you're going to be doing clients, whether that's during the day or at night or however that's going to work best for them and their system. But they've set that allotted time and to make sure that both are being taken care of to the fullest extent.
Right.
Because if you are halving it on both sides, neither are going to succeed in the way that's going to be best for both. So I love that when I do have a babysitter that they can focus solely on my kids and get all the playtime and whatever they want to do together. And then it also makes me miss and when I am then present with my kids, I enjoy it differently because I'm able to be fully present with them.
Yeah,
And then when I'm with my clients, be fully present with my clients and truly take care of them
definitely.
versus trying to reschedule and do all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminate rescheduling. Like clients should never be rescheduled. Maybe like once or twice ever, if possible, right?
Right. Well, and I feel like too, having that babysitter and like my experiences with it is that I know my kids are happy and well taken care of, and
Yeah.
I'm not working on a client or working on the back end of my business and worried about my kids or like having to go back and forth and deal with them. Because I know for me that ends up in like I get so like like upset, like it's really frustrating if I'm trying to work and I'm having to take
Yes.
care of my kids and, trying to focus on both. And like you said, like having it and like giving half of your effort to both. And so, having that babysitter is so helpful just to make they're taken care of. I'm not worried about them and I can like give my all and my energy to what I'm doing in my business. So I love
Right.
that advice that you gave with the time management. So awesome. All right. Well, any other last like thoughts or things you want to say? I feel like we've had such a good conversation and I really appreciate all the insight and, experiences that you shared.
Thanks, Erica. I definitely appreciate all the things that you're sharing. All the things and tips that you are sharing are so true and definitely are helping those that are wanting to grow their business. And the strategy is so important for that. So I'm excited to hear more and see how your elite mastermind's going.
Thank
That's
you.
super exciting for you. Tell us a little bit more
Yes.
about that.
Oh, so it's a 3-month mastermind and it's a mix of like one-on-one coaching and group coaching. So it is really high level support, which is awesome because you get that one-on-one feedback. So I feel like with online courses or like tips online or things like that, you get the information, information is relayed, but the implementation piece is where like the disconnect can happen because you don't always know how to take that information and then implement it for you specifically with your business and your experiences and like your situation. And so with this program, it's really awesome because you get that one-on-one support while also being in a group setting and having like the energy of like the group coaching and, connecting and networking with each other and bouncing ideas off of each other and, working towards your goals together. But then you're getting that one-on-one piece with it where it's like, okay, here's, for your situation specifically, here's like how you can implement this better. And that helps you to get those results a lot quicker. So I'm super excited for it. It kicks off in we're starting like with pre-work next week. So I'm excited for it.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
How cool. I love the platform that you're creating of women encouraging and supporting. And it's truly like you start learning something and then you're like, yeah, but then how does that work with my business? And
Yes,
you don't
exactly.
necessarily fully understand the process of each thing. And then it's also like helping you stay on top of it and not letting it
Yeah,
fall behind
the
and being like, oh, I
accountability.
paid for that online training, but like I never finished it.
Definitely. And I've done that several times personally with like online courses. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. And I love your page too. You share so much helpful information with, product and technique and growing your business. And I just love, the message that you bring to your audience and all the things that you're doing. So tell us where we can find you so that everyone can go follow you too.
Yeah, so if you have Instagram, please go check out Ida Jane Lashes. That's IDAJANE Lashes. It's actually my grandmother's name, and I have it in the form of like Ida Jane Lashes is your lash sister here, trying to give all the secrets and tips. We also sell products on Amazon as well as our website. So if you are in a bind and you drop your tweezers and you're like, frick, I have all these clients tomorrow or whatever, go on Amazon and buy these awesome
I
tweezers,
love
because
it.
then that way it's quality tweezers versus
Definitely.
non-quality, and you can guarantee that you're gonna get something great and you'll be able to do your clients the next day versus like questioning everything. So
Yes.
that would be where I'd recommend going, or IdaJaneLashes.com.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, and I'm gonna tag you when this episode goes live. I'm gonna tag her on Instagram and in my stories, so you guys can go find her and follow her there as well. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was so fun to talk to you and just get to know you more and hear more about your experiences in the lash industry.
Thanks, Erica. I'm so excited to be a part of it, and I can't wait to be a part of your journey a little bit more and helping each other along the way.
Yes.
I am definitely here for you as a lash sister and a lash mama, so reach out anytime.
You're the sweetest. Thank you so much. Definitely reach out as well if there's anything I can do to help you out. So awesome. Okay.